It's essentially linking the pain point, problem, and desires that you would like on the sales call to your marketing and offers that you make to people. But the idea is that it is a tool that will help you reverse engineer the person that you want on a sales call and hit it with like pinpoint precision almost every time if you do it correctly at the same time.
Sell the metal! Sell the metal! Sell the metal! Sell the metal!
Cool. So I like this offer linking thing. It sort of came about because I was really frustrated one day because an old CSM of ours, Josh, was asking us or asking me like, how the fuck can I help people trying to make good offers to people to hop on a call, understand it easier and better? And I sort of mapped out this little drawing thing and I came up with a fucking ridiculous scenario about a clown who wanted to get more parties to go to. I essentially came to the conclusion that the marketing agency who wanted to actually work with the clown and get him more parties was essentially someone that would have to link the problem of not having enough parties to the offer that they would make to that person to get them on a call or in their marketing at the same time too. And I'm like, oh, that actually sounds pretty cool. So I think we're going to call that offer linking now. And it's essentially linking the pain point, problem, and desires that you would like on the sales call to your marketing and offers that you make to people in Messenger, or I don't know if you guys use Messenger Pigeons or whatever it is. Some of you guys might do, I don't fucking know, right? But the idea is that it is a tool that will help you reverse engineer the person that you want on a sales call and hit it with like pinpoint precision almost every time if you do it correctly at the same time too. It's a work in progress, but the shit works really well. And I have a bunch of examples to show you guys through it today at the same time as well. The biggest thing that it does that I've been able to help make resonance for a lot of people is like, does anyone in here know what NEPQ is? Yeah, okay, you too. So it's essentially a dude named Jeremy Miner, sales trainer, created a mechanism called NEPQ, which is essentially helps someone sell themselves on a sales call, if that makes sense. And the quickest thing or the closest thing that I've found that offer linking can be reflected as is NEPQ for marketing, where it makes someone sell themselves on me being the only person to work with them as they're reading through my stuff, if that makes sense. Because they don't know how to work with me or they don't know exactly what to work with me on sometimes, but they know they want to work with me as opposed to anything else at the same time too. A lot of times they don't know if it's the right time or whatever it is. And that can all be done through expectation and proper management and marketing at the same time too. But they do know that deep down that they're like, no, I don't know where, how or what, but I know I want to work with you, if that makes sense. And it's all through speaking through the core identity and speaking through understanding their journey better than themselves at the same time. And putting them in a position where they're like, there's so many little stabs happening on a weekly basis that there must be a sense of, oh, this guy understands where I'm at and everything else at the same time. And you link the pain point and the problems and the things that you do together and get those things connected on a sales call with someone who already wants what you're selling. It's a fun place to be, real fun place to be. I did a drawing, and essentially it is connecting your prospect's current situation through to their goals. At the valley down the bottom there, it's essentially getting their fucking brain to do backflips how we know what we know about where they're at right now. And when you do that, you get like legitimate precision targeting, if that makes sense too. And I came up with another mechanism the other day called metal detector targeting because we sell metal, right? And you can use metal detectors to go find stuff. I'm so sorry for this, but it works. And essentially, right, like for your customer or your prospect or your ideal person you'd like to work with, there are a few things that sort of need to be in place. And this is all stuff that will help you guys a lot while you're here too. And it's like where they're at right now has a pain point. There are reasons why it exists. There are things they don't have or can't do as a consequence of that. And then there's the things that they hate themselves for as a consequence of that too. This is probably where I spend my most time in thinking about angles, offers, content, whatever it is, if that makes sense. A really good example of this was like, I used to think about like, what's the hardest thing about the hardest thing was always the questions I would go to. It's like, for us, if I wanted to get more people who want to learn how to do, let's say, organic marketing, what's the hardest thing about organic marketing? I discovered it was getting the person you want to comment below your posts and say, I want to work with you. Or it was getting the person you want to reach out to you and say, hey, I want to work with you. They were the hardest things about the hardest thing was knowing how to get an offer like that. The hardest thing about the hardest thing was working out how to do it repeatedly at the same time too. So I started coming up with swipe files that spoke to, I know how hard it is for you to actually get people to comment below who actually are the perfect fit for you. Would it help you out if I just send you across 74 examples of ones that worked and worked really well? And the people that opted in were like multi-6, 7-figure business owners who've been trying to work that shit out, because I've been speaking to those things that I knew that they hated about the things. And like, I used to like prod at it. It's like, hey man, how does it make you feel when like your peers are getting like hundreds of comments and you're not? Like, you're a cunt, Chris. Yeah, that's my job. My job is to trigger you a little bit. For many other people that we work with, like, there is always a pain point, i.e. I don't have leads. There are reasons that it exists, i.e. no system for inbound lead flow, no automation to follow up with them or whatever it is, no things that are in place that would prevent that pain point from existing in the first place or whatever it might be. And then because they don't have that in place, they don't have the ability to be able to get an admin assistant on, have to like or bring someone in that could be a sales associate one day or whatever it is, if that makes sense. Or they don't have, maybe it's an emotional thing. They don't have the confidence they're going to close the amount of deals they'd want to this year, whatever it is, in some way, shape, and form. And then the unconscious part, like, why do they hate themselves as a consequence of this? Is like, well, they expect it to be better and further. They're sick of doing that admin. There could be a million different things that are happening as a consequence of the pain point existing. And if you think about it, these are all sales call questions. What's the pain point? Why do you think that exists? What's the impact of not having that in your world right now? And what's the impact of your personal life at the same time too? When you ask those questions, you can actually take that information off the sales calls and use it in your marketing. I get half my angles from like, there's two things I look for. One, I want to hear what they say on the sales call when I ask those questions, because there's going to be commonalities through all of them at the same time as well. Then one of the biggest things is like, I know our marketing's hitting when they're coming to the call saying the things that I put in our market. Because when I get to that point, it's like, like this, like if this guy doesn't close, it's like call review time. What the fuck happened? And this is where we get the privilege of being able to utilize a lot of that. And this is where when I hear people say like, I just don't want to do, I'm like, you haven't taken enough fucking calls is your problem. You aren't looking at them as a opportunity to look at the pain point, find out the reason that it exists in the first place, and study what they don't have as a consequence of them being in a position where they are right now and being stuck in that pain point or whatever it is. And what's happening in their world as a consequence of that. Like, what can't they do as a consequence of the things that they say that they want right now or can't fix themselves or whatever it is, right? Like, taking sales calls is the best fucking tool for understanding your target market. It's the best tool, hands down, because you can take all the data from that call and work out, okay, cool. These are all the things that they commonly say or whatever it is. And you can use that in your market consistently over and over and over again. You have enough of those calls, obviously, you're going to get to a position where you find commonalities more than anything else. Now, this doesn't speak to the customer journey or whatever it is at this point in time. It just speaks to the pain point, where they're not, and all the stuff too, right? I will get into a bit more of an understanding of the journey in a little while. This is what connects their brain to your marketing. This is how it happens. Is this making sense, guys? Let's take a quick check-in just quickly right now. Is this making you guys think about that you might not have thought about before?
One thing is literally, like what's really hitting me is literally they're linking information. So questions, they're linking information to build more of an understanding of what it is. When you use that again and again and again, you can put that more into your offer and build on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time someone says words, it's like, oh, cool, right? Like every time you get a question from a prospect, a lot of the time is like, it's an inclination of some sort at the same time too. Anything else? Any other like light bulb sort of moments for any, whatever it is? Because I'm watching notes getting taken, but I'm also watching like a sense of glazer. And if this isn't hitting and it's making you guys feel like, fuck, there's so much less that I don't know, say that too, because I need to understand what's happening right now.
Yeah, it's like makes sense, but now I'm thinking like how to like mental is.
Sure. Yeah.
I had a sales call like this morning, and yeah, like one sales call is better than like 10 years doing videos or like a month of reading books or whatever. So books are good, but one sales call just gives you like so much fun. So, but yeah, this is good, but still you need to practice it.
Yeah, we'll go through an exercise later that shows you guys specifically how to do it for your offer and all of this stuff as well. I'm just checking to see like what isn't being understood right now at the same time too. So the other side of it is like, then people need to see three things. They need proof that working with you equals getting what they wish that they had. Do you know half the time you guys could be marketing stuff that's already happening with your clients right now? You're just not doing it. I'll give you a great example, right? Like I have clients who have 6 figures in the bank, and how many of you would like 6 figures in the bank? I can literally market, say, hey, as a consequence of working with us, I can name 48 clients right now that have 6 figures in the bank, or whatever it is, right? Fuck, I don't have that. That's what I want, right? I've got clients who bought Range Rovers, Bentleys, right? Like shit that other people would want. And when you post about the proof of the things that your clients are getting outside sometimes of the things that you guys are doing right now, it makes such a huge difference at the same time too. Because that's what their core desire really wants. And when you communicate stuff like that, it's like, oh, like their clients are winners, and like they work with winners. There is examples and trust in you, right? So you have a med spa owner who wants to get to multiple locations. It's like the multi-location marketing playbook or whatever it is. Only speak to someone that either has or wants multi-location, if that makes sense. So they give you a playbook. It gives examples of what sort of marketing needs to exist there. Now they have trust in you being someone that can get them to a multi-stage by giving them the leads they need to do so.
That could be time credit too.
Could be. Yeah, could be like our clients are fucking spending 3 hours a week doing the things that they actually need to as the offer owner right now. The rest of it's spent on their yacht with their kid. Could be anything like that, right? Literally, could be anything like that. It's like, what are all the things this is why I go back to this stage, which is like, what are all the things that they're not getting as a consequence of not having a solution to the problems they're experiencing right now, right? And sometimes when you put examples and evidence of proof, it doesn't have to be we help them get deals. Right? It's like, what are they not getting in their life? Bro, Dan's a G at this at the moment. Dan Bolton is a G at this at the moment because he's showing people like, yeah, you can do it without sales calls. But then he has people in his program that are doing sales calls, right? You can do it while traveling and all sort of stuff too, if that makes sense. And it's like you show the core identity part of the thing that they actually like want, if that makes sense. And evidence of that happening, because then people go, you know what, even if I don't make as much money or whatever it is, I know that I can get that because that's the thing I really want. Sucks if you didn't though. And then after that, it's comprehension of how it works with you and how your process works to make that happen. We did a survey a little while ago of like, I asked my audience, like, what do you need to see in order for you to buy from someone? It's like, there needs to be proof. I need to trust the person, and I need to understand that this process is going to work for me in particular, if that makes sense. They're the only 3 things that it was constant, consistent, same thing over and over and over and over and over again. You've got proof of getting what they wish that they had, which is like, it could be deals, it could be leads, it could be any of those things or whatever it is, if that makes sense. Or it could be the impacts and ramifications of those at the same time too. For you, it could be 88 fucking users in the first X amount of time or whatever it is, right? Or it could be their first X amount of the first income gap that they wanted or whatever it is from their app or whatever the thing they want is, if that makes sense, right? Is this starting to spark some more how ideas for you guys now? And I've got more stuff to share with you guys at the same time as well. But it's just like, they need to know that there is proof that these things are going to be eliminated when they work with you. And that there is examples of that. And that could be examples of like, it could be a client interview of some sort. It could be a lead magnet that says, but it has to be in context of the stage of business that you want the person to be in, if that makes sense, right? It's like for real estate, it's like trying to think. I know with some of the guys in the States, we've done like multi-unit playbooks in that scenario where it's like they're not selling one house, they're selling multi-units at a time to one vendor, if that makes sense. It's like you make more money from one thing. Like this is how you market to get multiple houses sold to one person, if that makes sense, as opposed to just one thing happening. So you sell to investors as opposed to just Bob and Bill, normal residential or whatever it is, right? It's like, this is how you sell to investors and not to just Marge who's trying to buy a house. Marge Simpson, probably not trying to buy a house. It's probably Homer. But like, this is where putting out things that speak to the stage of business that the person would ideally want to, that you ideally want them to be at, is going to be the thing that matters probably more than anything else. I'm going to keep referencing back to this stuff again and again and again because it is the most important thing. And then it's comprehension of how, right? Like, what are the 3 or 4 things that we work on with you in order for this to be the reality for me? Not for anyone, but for me in particular. Because, and this is where I love doing case studies with clients and stuff. You know, most our case study is just based on the objections that we get in sales calls. It's like, oh, cool. This is the objections coming up a lot. Let's go. Like, what client do we have that we can go and do an interview with that kills that objection? And just send that to them before we actually have that call with that person, right? And it's just like, we're just looking at, and how does it work and how's it going to work for me? So we now have a case study for pretty much every objection. So it's like, I'll chat with Carl and it's like, oh, I think this is going to be the suggestion that you get. Send them this case study. That'll be perfect for them. Then they close because they've already been sold and they have solutions to things we expect them to have a problem to, if that makes sense. And then you can do that in your marketing and all. Like, it's why I post so much shit about, like, you see there's like one of our clients' posts. Did you? The whole purpose is to just reinforce this is how things get solved here, if that makes sense. And yes, I have more examples. And yes, I'll show you guys through stuff. I'm just trying to set the frame for you guys, right? The frustrating thing is, like, it's actually really simple if you think about it in context like this. I think most people just sit there blank and think about nothing as to why it becomes hard. It's like, what if they do nothing? How much would life suck? What were you about to say? Like, what would they do? What if they do nothing? Like, you can sit there with all that fucking shitty life experience you have right now. You can watch the other agents crush it. That creates urgency in some way, shape, and form, because we want to hurt their feelings, don't we? Because most people don't change until they get triggered. In most cases, there has to be a triggering event of some sort that makes someone want to change. Better to put the triggering event in your content so they want to change before they get to the call with you in the first place. That's my opinion anyway. So offer linking helps connect, like, their current situation to their goal. And if done correctly, or when done correctly, if you connect these three things to the pain points and problems that they have and aspirations they want to get to and do it efficiently, it's going to be with you. And you're going to be one of the only options, and they're going to choose to want to work with you now or later. And it's not going to be never, it's going to be now or later, is what I find. Which is really cool, because it puts you in a position where if you put good promos together and stuff as well, it can actually really help you guys out a lot at the same time too. Promos don't always have to be discounts. There's a lot of different ways to do promos too. So the question is, like, who is this? Like, who is the person? Where they want to get to, and who are you to them? Is kind of the question that you guys are going to be able to answer today at the same time too. And the idea is that, like, we just want to connect all these things inside their brain to you being the person that solves that for them at the same time as well. We developed a 10-step process to get, like, pinpoint precision in that. We want knife in guts very frequently and directly from the, like, your prospect's mind into the words that you post on a daily basis, if that makes sense. I called it offer linking. Reverse engineer the exact type of person you want to work with. We identify the problem or problems that they are experiencing on a daily basis. Work out the promise that we would make to that type of person, i.e. I promise to help you do X if you come work with me. And then we articulate the process in which we actually deliver on that promise for them, which becomes the net of safety that they need that makes them go, oh, I'm going to be able to get the result that I want with this person. And as a consequence of that, we now have a lot of things that we can do, that we can market about, that we can produce content about, that puts us in a position, everything that goes out helps someone understand that we are the right person to work with this person, and we can predict what the person we're speaking to's problem is going to be before they even get to a sales call with us, which is really fucking cool. So person is all avatar, problem and promise are both the offer. The process is actually delivery, how we deliver on our promise that we're going to make to the person. The production part is all your marketing and what it is that you do that actually helps someone understand that you are the person for them to work with. Prediction is actually all about your setting, right? Because if you can understand the person, where they want to be, and the main things that are stopping them from being there, you can start bucketing your questions into a really easy process that you can predict the problems they're going to have and make it really easy to work out, cool, I sort of know where you're at already because of the thing you opted into. And, like, it's going to be either this or this that you're experiencing as a problem right now. And then sales is all about, cool, now that we understand who they are and where they're going to be, we can have a bit of an understanding. It's like the main things that would prevent someone from actually getting what they want. And when we go into a call with them, we can actually go through the process of going, cool. So, like, I know where you want to be, and we know where you want to be at, and we know where you are now. Like, what's preventing you from getting there, right? What's really preventing you from getting there? And then our sales presentation, which is the plan, which is, funnily enough, it's a combination between the promise and the process. It's like, what's your plan to get me to where I want to be? It's like, cool. So I know you're here and you want to be there. This is our 4-step process to get you there and deliver on the promise. Would that help you out if we actually did that together? Which gives them a net of safety that, oh, they have a process for me to do this, and that's the plan to do so. Just sales presentation. And then the profit part is, how do you actually keep that client for a long time and keep, because you actually start offer linking again, funnily enough, right? And examples like med spa at one location. Now they want to be at 2 or 3. Cool. So this is the client journey. We're going to help you get this many clients until you can open up a second location. Then we're going to actually double the spend and go this way, which puts you in a position where you can actually now see that we have a plan to help you get to the first one. And now we can actually put you in a position where we have a plan for second and third, which actually helps retain them at the same time too, right? The profit part actually keeps them flowing, and you actually work out how to make the spend more with them when they get to that stage at the same time too. And then predictability is the ops. Like, how does your operations actually make sure that you have that the team, and then making sure that you know your numbers well enough to be able to predict what's going to happen next at the same time too. This is what offer linking actually is when you break it down. It's like, how do you work out who the person is and break it down to a really cool way to do it? How do you identify the problem or problems they're experiencing, or the main things that are preventing them, like most people, from getting what they want? And then based off that, what's the promise you need to make to someone to make them actually like say yes? And then how do you communicate how we're going to deliver on that promise, which is your process to getting them from A to B, from current situation to goal or whatever it is. And all your marketing is based around that forever and a day, over and over and over again. Your setting is based off all that. Your sales calls are all based off that. Your sales presentations are all based off that. Your client success is based off that. And the way in which you bring team in is based off that at the same time too. Does this help give you guys a little more of a framework as to how it works step by step at the same time too? I've got more to give you at the same time as well, but like, this is how it works. So today we're going to go through person, problem, promise, and process. The outcome you would expect is essentially infinite clarity on how to actually get inside the head of who it is you want to market to, how to communicate to their problems better than they could, how to package it and turn it into an offer, and then clearly communicate to the market at the same time as well. And then tomorrow we're going to go through production, prediction, prevention, and plan, which will give you guys an outcome of a clear picture of what lead bag that you can use that will slap, a clear picture on what hooks to use, how to write scripts that can predict their issues in a way that actually makes it so it becomes like stupid simple to sell to them, and how to present your offer like a professional that actually already understands the things that they're experiencing that are bad for them right now. So what's next? A small break before your brain melts, because I know that might have been a lot of intake right now. After like lunch or whatever it is, we'll probably go into more like actual doing rather than teaching and thinking right now. And question is like, for you guys to think about is like, what have you already learnt that you could use, implement, and get value out and a huge ROI from having already been here right now if you saw nothing else? Because these are the things you need to think about that you would actually start looking to implement no matter what you learn at the same time too. That's kind of it for right now. I just wanted to walk you through how it works in some way, shape, and form. The next thing we're going to get into is reverse engineering the person onto the stuff as well. Does anyone have any questions about it? Does anyone want to share anything they've learned so far that they could use, implement, and get an ROI out of what we've already done so far today?
Yeah, and one question, mentions about this is very simple question. Getting into the sales call is the best solution. There's not a target market. It actually is. But for example, when you just start out, you like literally no money, you just read books, whatever, and you still want to like be professional and ask good enough questions in those calls, and what's the best way, to prepare for that? It's like to have enough knowledge to have good conversation, to talk about pain points, to talk about the deep stuff, not about basics.
What fear is this? Fear of looking like an idiot? Right. I think it's fear of looking like an idiot, if I'm honest. Yeah, fear of embarrassment of not understanding the most of the stuff as well.
It's not that fear, like you really want to get on those calls and you're getting, but you're like
yeah, but
you're actually an idiot, but
yeah,
to prepare better for those calls, or maybe the first call is like you're an idiot, the second is like you're less of an idiot, and third is like you're okay, so maybe this is the answer.
This might be experience talking for me personally, right? But experience is like, oh, I'm not good at this. I need to learn from you. I need to speak to more people to find out what it is, and I'm not going to lie and say I'm an expert. Because if I lie and say I'm an expert, it's actually going to deter the relationship in a really big way, right? If I'm going to learn a new market, I'm going to reach out to people that I know personally and say, yo, I need 20 minutes of your time. I'll give you $50 fucking Starbucks gift card. No, that's not a laugh. It's what I do. I did it last week to our existing market, right? I do this I do this multiple times a year where I still look for market insight. I pay people for their time. I pay them. It's like, dude, I need to buy your time. I need to learn what am I not understanding? That's outside all the other things. Like, yeah, you can go do market research on stuff too, but it's just like, I went through 40 minutes of this on the last group call, and I'll give you the link to it at the same time too, but it's just like, go to your competitors. What are they marketing about? Competitor research is the quickest thing you can do.
Just walk into our office, like anywhere you live.
Yeah, they expect walk-ins, especially here, for example, in Ontario, I see
Yeah.
walk-ins are.
As you see an agent walking by, it's like, hey, I'm looking to sign up for the office. Who are the superstar agents? And we'll walk up to them. Maybe $200 for 30 minutes. Or like, have a conversation with them. Sit down with them. Honestly. We get such crazy information. Such crazy. And when you actually like in person online, you have to do it in that way.
Okay, again, I did this last week to our existing market that I already know. But the intent was different. Like my intent was like, why are you not buying from us? I need to know why you are not purchasing from us. Like, why not?
It's really nice having this being human. And for example, my problem is not like a mindset or whatever, or here, but sometimes I just don't know how to do it. Like I almost forget how to do it. So that's the only. So this is good. Yeah.
Hold on, question for you. How do you come up with like questions like I've done calls like that, and I have a bunch of questions that I do ask that help me in some ways, but after today I'm like all those questions are not actually helping me understand it really well.
Are you familiar with what probing and clarifying is? So when someone says something, you ask them, what do you mean by that? And it gets you a deeper understanding of something. So the questions you have might be fine, but you're asking surface level questions as opposed to deeper questions. What did you have for breakfast this morning? Why did you have that and not toast? But why not just toast?
Because I was hungry and just
Okay, what made you so hungry? Probing and clarifying, right? There is something in our program that's like prospect interview questions. But the reality is, like, even with those, most people aren't getting what they want because they're not just like, they're not asking more questions, right? Like, if you're ever stuck on a call with me, it's because I'm fucking asking if I need to ask extra questions, I'll ask extra questions. But realistically, like, the simple answer is like, where do they want to be? Why they're not there? What do they not have as a consequence of that? The same questions like I asked you this morning. That's actually completely accurate. I feel like that's not going to give an answer that's helpful. That's the thing that frustrates me. But I think the difference here is like there's an awareness gap, and that's the issue. So your issue right now is you need to go through our program a bit better. That, and then have more conversations with people. That's like I fucking hate that the answer is that for so many people, because it would piss them off. Like, I have a application. Yeah, you do. And not hate the situation. It's just like, I hate that that's my only answer, if that makes sense, right? Because like, I want to have something amazing for you. But like, I didn't get to understanding all this stuff because there was a solution other than speaking to like thousands of people, if that makes sense. And the reason, if I have any precision point target, it's like, we've signed up, we have an average of 40% close rate in our offer, which means that we've got 350-ish clients orders, which we've probably taken 1,000 sales calls, which means we've probably spoken to 5,000 people over that period of time, if that makes sense, right? So just to give a scale of understanding at the same time too. But I'll get Faris to send you the prospect interview questions, and maybe that will give you more meat to understand at the same time too, hopefully. But there are, like, for me, it's like, it's probing and clarifying. I don't get an answer, say, okay, cool. Like, I'm always looking for like, cool, and like, what do you mean by that in particular? How does that happen? Where do you go with that? What does that unlock for you? Why do you not have that right now? All those things, like childlike curiosity, if that makes sense. Sorry, I don't have a better answer.
putting a bunch of these into question.
Yeah, I put it into the event chat. Any other questions? Yes.
Can I have the copy when you close there? Hopefully recorded that.
Yeah, probably. I would say it's there. I would say it's there somewhere.
I'd love to have a copy if that's possible.
For sure. If I have that. No, it'll be somewhere. It's going to find it, it's all.
Because that was all question and answer. What's stopping it was exactly what it was.
But it's the same questions that we have in our program too. We have a sales training script and all to the stuff as well. You could, like, you guys. But I'll absolutely send it to you.
If
Sure.
can.
Yeah, for sure.
Big deal, don't worry about it.
No, it's all good.
easier to get started with it. Because I was putting you up and you closed me on the call.
I'm sorry. But
I'm happy. I was happy to answer. You got a credit card on the front. Okay.
But why? What changed? What was it? Yeah, so that's no different to the questions that are in the scripts and the stuff that we have in there, but I'll send it to you anyway.
And I have been solved before upon actually. Like,
Sorry?
I have been solved before. Paul was.
The call was just getting it done.
I guess Kyle, he asked many questions. Very good. Like, it's good, but I was already like waiting. Like, can you just start the whole thing?
Should have just told him. Should have just said, hey man, I just want to pay you money. Cool.
So now I was thinking, you know, how could you do that? So I'm still thinking that, trying to understand.
But what we're talking about right now is like if your marketing does that on the front end, you have people like you on the call that say, hey, I just want to pay you money, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I understood that this works, and if I can learn all this.
100%. Absolutely. What was it that made you pre-sold already?
I trusted you. I had that
Me?
experience. I don't know.
Me?
You said I trusted you.
Maybe you Markman, but I understood. I was a day.
That's hilarious.
And maybe, you know, experience Zach or.
Oh, Zach. Yeah.
It was Zach. And, you know, it was not like a just real estate. It was what Zach said. It could have been anything else or any other, whatever.
You watched the interview?
Yeah, I would. Yeah. It was, I guess it was me.
It was
natural, and he said all the things.
Which is why all these things are so important, if that makes sense too, right? It's like if you have stuff like that and a consistent frequency of that stuff, like it's really fucking hard to lose as long as you're just not doing the work. Like if you're not doing the work, that's the problem, if that makes sense, right? Any other questions? Anything like that at all? Because we can break for a bit, go get some lunch or whatever it is. We only really have one more thing to do today, which is going through this person, problem, process, promise, which is going through the avatar, current situation, market sector, revenue, team size, goal, and what's that unlock. We'll go through the problem. We'll go through the 3 main reasons they aren't there right now. For many of you, it's just going to be that. We'll walk through what are they not getting out of it, what are the ramifications of it, ramifications to their team, ramifications to personal life, what can't they do as a consequence of that. I'll show you guys some examples of promises at the same time too. And then we'll map out the processes that you guys would normally take to get someone from A to B, i.e., you know, current situation to goal at the same time as well. And then tomorrow we'll go through how to actually market it effectively at the same time, what hooks, what angles, what type of lead magnets, what scripts, how to create the scripts, all that sort of stuff as well. So again, you guys are sitting here wondering how it works. Did that give you guys a little bit more insight? Oh, cool, I'm going to get what I want out of this now. Yeah, so I just did what I'm asking of you to do for your clients, right? I've pre-sold you on the idea, and I said, here's the container of safety. We're going to do this, this, and this. And that's how we're going to get it done, if that makes sense. So that's what they need to see. The whole way through this, I've been using client stories to enroll into it, to share ideas of, oh, this is how it works for other people at the same time too. If I'm on a sales call, I tell like 3 client stories and ask them questions. Because I'm just reinforcing the same thing over and over and over again. I'm reinforcing they're in the right place. In the content, on a call, in like right now at the same time too, because like I still have to sell you guys and doing the work. Anyway, just demonstrating, I guess, and showing that at the same time too. You guys can go and get some food now. Thank you for listening to my crazy Australian languages. Actually, you're all Australian too. I'm too used to using that.